Histology of organs in pigment. This refers to skin plus its appendages, general characteristics of the skin. The skin covers the exterior of the body and is the largest and heaviest organ in the body. It serves several functions. It protects the body from mechanical injury and loss of fluid. It acts as a barrier against noxious agents. It excretes various waste products. It contains receptors for heat, cold, touch, and pain. Structure. The skin is made of epidermis, surface epithelium, ectodermal in origin, and dermis, underlying connective tissue, mesodermal in origin. Hypodermis is the subcutaneous connective tissue, mostly adipose connective tissue underneath the dermis, not considered part of the skin. It only binds the skin to the adjacent organs. Types of skin. There are two types of skin according to the thickness of the epidermis, not the whole skin: thick or non-hairy skin and thin or hairy skin. Appendages of the skin. These include sweat and sebaceous glands, hair follicles, and nails. Thick or non-hairy skin. It covers the palms of hands and soles of feet. By the naked eye, the surface of thick skin shows characteristic parallel ridges and furrows. In the fingers, these ridges are called fingerprints or markers. They develop during the 3rd and 4th months of prenatal life. These ridges show personal specificity, which is forever unchangeable and helpful in identification of persons, especially in forensic medicine. Epidermis. It varies in thickness from 0.8 mm in palms to 1.4 mm in soles. It is made of keratinized stratified squamous epithelium that contains 4 cell types: keratinocytes or keratinizing system is about 85% of the cells, melanocytes or pigmentary system, Merkel's cells or sensory system, Langerhans cells or immune system. Keratinocytes are arranged in 4 layers: Malpighian, granular, clear, and horny layers. Malpighian layer or stratum malpighi. It is subdivided into 2 layers: stratum basal or stratum germinativum or basal cell layer is 1 layer of cubical or columnar cells resting on a clear wavy pigment membrane. These cells have a basophilic cytoplasm rich in ribosomes and ribonucleic acid. The cells have deeply stained oval basal nuclei. They are joined together by numerous desmosomes and fixed to the underlying pigment membrane by hemidesmosomes. Cells of stratum germinativum divide by mitosis for renewal of the epidermal cells, hence the name of germinal layer. Melanocytes or pigment cells and Merkel cells are also present in this layer. Then Prickle Cell or spiny layer or stratum spinosum. It is formed of 4 to 8 layers of polyhedral cells with central round nuclei. These cells have numerous short spiny projections, hence the name of a spiny layer. These projections are sites of typical desmosomes or maculae adherents, formerly considered as gap junctions, known as intercellular bridges. The cells become smaller near the surface. Langerhans cells are also present in this layer. Then granular layer or stratum granulosum. It is formed of 3 to 4 layers of flat cells with flattened nuclei. The cytoplasm contains basophilic keratohyaline granules and membrane-coated granules which act as a skin barrier. Clear layer or stratum lucidum is a clear homogeneous layer formed of dead unstained cells containing elidine granules, which is a transformation product of keratohyaline of stratum granulosum. Then finally, the horny layer or the stratum corneum. It consists of scales or squames of dead keratinized cells, joined together by desmosomes remnant. The nucleus and organoids have disappeared. They contain keratin protein derived from elidine. The scales are continuously shed off from the surface and are replaced by new ones from the deeper cells. Other cells are melanocytes. For easy studying the different types of cells, we have better to consider origin, site, shape, if there is any special stain, and the possible function of the cells. Melanocytes. They are melanin-forming cells, ectodermal in origin, derived from neural crest. They are branched cells lie just below or between the basal columnar cells of the epidermis and also in the dermis. There is no desmosomes or hemidesmosomes connecting them with the neighboring keratinocytes. They have round cell body, central nuclei, and long cytoplasmic processes extending between keratinocytes. They are not stained with hematoxylin and eosin. They contain all organoids for protein synthesis, as ribosomes, rough endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus. They also contain tyrosinase enzyme, needed for the formation of melanin granules, melanosomes, so they give positive DOPA reaction. Melanin granules or melanosomes are transformed from melanocytes across their processes to the cells of stratum malpighi, stratum basale, and stratum spinosum. Melanocytes are not pigmented cells. The degree of pigmentation or the color of the skin varies according to the ability of melanocytes to synthesize melanin, not from increase or decrease in their number. Thus, there is no significant difference in the number of melanocytes in the white or dark races. Melanosomes or melanin granules are an intracellular inclusion, abundant and distributed through all cells of the stratum malpighi and all layers of the epidermis in dark-skinned races, while in light races, melanosomes are restricted to the lower zones of the malpighian layer. Other cells related to melanin are melanophores. Comparison between melanocytes and melanophores. Melanocytes are present in the epidermis between the basal columnar cells and also in the dermis. They are ectodermal in origin derived from the neural crest. They give a positive DOPA reaction due to the presence of tyrosinase enzyme. They form melanin. Melanophores, on the other hand, are found in the dermis at the dermo-epidermal junction. They are mesodermal in origin. They give a negative DOPA reaction as they contain no tyrosinase enzyme. Melanophores carry melanin and are considered as melanin-eating cells, macrophages which engulfed melanin, and are called melanophages or melanophores. Color of the skin is due to melanin, melanoids, carotene, hemoglobin, subcutaneous fat, the number of blood vessels in the dermis, and the color of blood in them. In complete albinism, there is genetic defect in tyrosinase enzyme needed for melanin formation, not absence of melanocytes, so the skin appears too white albino. In old age, the hair turns white because melanocytes become unable to form melanin. Factors increase melanin formation. Sunlight. Exposure to sunlight stimulates tyrosinase enzyme to manufacture more melanin. Addison disease also plays a role in stimulation of tyrosinase enzyme, thus causing hyperpigmentation. Melanocyte-stimulating hormone from the pituitary, as well as adrenocorticotrophic hormone, also play an important role in stimulation of tyrosinase enzyme and hyperpigmentation of the skin. Other keratinocytes are Merkel cells. They are modified epithelial cells found in or near the stratum basale, in both hairy and thick skin, especially in palms and soles. They are larger, have a deeper basophilic cytoplasm than keratinocytes, and are attached to the basal cells by desmosomes. These cells are surrounded by naked sensory nerve fibers like disc, Merkel's tactile disc, and have a mechanoreceptors function. Other cells are Langerhans cells. They are mesodermal in origin, migrated from the dermis. They are star-shaped, branched, phagocytic cells present throughout the epidermis, but mainly in the stratum spinosum, and play an immunological role in the skin. They are not stained by hematoxylin and eosin, but need a special stain, a supravital stain, as brilliant chrysal blue. The dermis is the connective tissue layer of the skin, generally thicker than the epidermis, and consists of two layers. Papillary layer is the thinner superficial layer that forms the dermal papillae, which fit into the concavities under the basement membrane. Papillary layer of the dermis consists of loose connective tissue and contains more cells, fine collagenous fibers, reticular and elastic fibers. It is rich in capillary loops that nourish the thick epidermis and contains Meissner's tactile corpuscles. Reticular layer is the thicker, deeper layer called reticular because of its high content of collagenous fibers. It consists of dense areolar connective tissue that is more fibrous, less cellular and vascular than the papillary layer. It contains numerous sweat glands. connection of the epidermis to the dermis. Dermal papillae fit into the concavities on the undersurface of the epidermis. Hemidesmosomes extending from the basal cells to the underlying papillary layer. Basement membrane also fixes the basal cells to the dermal papillae. Hypodermis is the subcutaneous tissue formed of adipose connective tissue which binds the skin to the adjacent organs. No fat cells are found in the subcutaneous tissue of the eyelid, penis, scrotum, and areola of the nipple. Comparison between thick or non-hairy skin and thin or hairy skin. For easy remembering the differences between the two types of skin, we have to consider the site. Then the structure of the epidermis and the structure of the dermis. Site. Thick skin covers the palms of hands and soles of feet, while thin skin covers the rest of the body surface. Structure of the epidermis. Thick skin is thicker with thicker epidermis. It has thick malpighian layer, thick granular layer, there is a clear layer, and it has thick horny layer. Thin skin is thinner with thinner epidermis. It has thin malpighian layer, thin granular layer may be 1 layer thickness, no clear layer, and thin horny layer. Dermis. Thick skin has numerous regular dermal papillae. The dermis contains numerous sweat glands of acrine type. The dermis contains no hairs and their associated structures. There is no hair follicles, no sebaceous glands, no erector bile muscles, and no plexus of Ponnee, as there is no hair follicles. The dermis of thin skin shows fewer irregular dermal papillae. It contains fewer sweat glands of both types, acrine and apocrine. It contains hairs and their associated structures. There is hair follicles, sebaceous glands, and erector bile muscles. Also, there is plexus of Ponnee, which is free nerve endings act as mechanoreceptors or touch receptors for hair. Certain sites of thin skin contain no hairs, as glans penis, clitoris, labia minora, and the red margin of the lip. Blood supply and nerve supply of the skin. Blood supply. There are two arterial networks supplying the skin, arising from the subcutaneous arteries and veins present in the hypodermis. These networks are red subpapillary or subpapillary plexus, present between the reticular and the papillary layers of the dermis, supplies the dermal papillae, and this plexus is responsible for the pink color of the skin. Red cutinum or cutaneous plexus, present in the hypodermis, and it supplies hair follicles, hair papillae, sweat, and sebaceous glands. Nerve supply of the skin. There is autonomic nerve fibers, motor to blood vessels and erector bile muscles of the hair, and secretory to sweat glands. There is also a number of receptors. Receptors in the epidermis for pain and thermoreceptors are free nerve endings. For mechanoreceptors are Merkel's corpuscles. Receptors in the dermis for pain and thermoreceptors are free nerve endings. For mechanoreceptors, there are Meissner's tactile corpuscles, in the bulbs of crows, organs of Raffini, and Pacinial corpuscles, which are also present in the hypodermis.